Every nation has secrets. Some are whispered in dark alleys, others buried in archives. But the most dangerous secrets are those carried by people in silence, until one day, the silence breaks. This is the story of Ellen, a girl whose pain was meant to erase her, but instead, it crowned her the most powerful woman in the land. The clang of iron doors echoed like a sentence without end. At just 18, Ellen should have been chasing dreams, not pacing the cracked floors of a prison cell. Her delicate beauty set her apart in a place where softness was devoured. And someone had noticed. The senior guard's eyes followed her with an authority she could not escape. He spoke with false kindness, but his stare stripped her of safety. She tried to avoid him, but in prison, avoidance was impossible. One night, under the hum of flickering lights, he cornered her in the laundry room. Her protests dissolved into the walls. His power crushed her pleas. And when it was over, he left as though nothing had happened, while Ellen sat broken on the cold floor, hugging herself in silence. She didn't scream. She couldn't. In prison, screams were currency, and silence was survival. But in that silence, something else was born. Not hope, not yet, but defiance. 2 months later, Ellen walked out of prison gates. Freedom felt loud, but she carried the prison inside her. Then came the news that changed everything. She was pregnant. At first, despair threatened to drown her. But as days passed, the quiet rhythm of life within her gave her a strange resolve. She named him Samuel, asked of God. While the guard moved on, unburdened, Ellen struggled to survive. She scrubbed floors, sold vegetables, worked sleepless nights to feed her son. Neighbors whispered. Pity clung to her like smoke. Yet Ellen endured, because Samuel needed her to. Over time, her voice grew louder. She began speaking at small gatherings, her words unpolished but powerful, about survival, about resilience, about refusing to be erased. What began as whispers became echoes. The fire planted in prison now burned for the world to see. Meanwhile, the guard's path gleamed. He left the prison quietly, built connections, married into wealth, and slipped into politics with practiced charm. His speeches inspired, his handshakes reassured. No one asked questions about the shadows of his past. Within a decade, he was a national figure. By the 15th year, his campaign posters covered entire cities. His name was synonymous with progress. He was the man expected to be the next president. But in the mirror, sometimes late at night, he saw her. The girl in the laundry room. He shook the thought away, but silence never forgets. By then, Ellen had transformed. She was no longer the girl broken in a laundry room. She was an advocate, an activist, a voice for the voiceless. Her speeches carried pain, but also power. When she announced her candidacy, people laughed. She had no money, no dynasty, no machinery. How could a woman like her challenge the nation's golden boy? Her rallies were small, her posters few. Yet her words pierced deeper than any slogan. I know what it means to be silenced. I know what it means to fight for a tomorrow you're told you don't deserve. And I know this country deserves better. She was dismissed as a symbolic candidate until the tide shifted. It arrived at his mansion in a plain envelope. No sender. Inside, a DNA report. Subject A. Samuel Lewis. Subject B. Name redacted. Result: 99.8% match. His son. Ellen's son. The blood drained from his face. For 15 years, he had buried that night, convinced it would never return. But here it was, resurrected with scientific certainty. If this reached the public, his career was over. Worse, his freedom at risk. The next morning, he stunned the nation by withdrawing from the race. He cited health reasons. But whispers spread like wildfire. Something was wrong. Something was hidden. And Ellen, she stayed silent. She didn't need to speak. The silence itself was deafening. With the giant suddenly gone, Ellen's campaign found momentum. Crowds swelled. Her story, her pain, her survival, her honesty, became her greatest strength. She didn't promise perfection, she promised truth. Opponents scrambled, but it was too late. The woman no one had taken seriously was now the nation's choice. On election night, as confetti rained and the crowd roared, Ellen stood on stage with Samuel beside her. Her voice trembled, but her words were steel. I was once told my footsteps didn't matter. Tonight, I stand here to say, every step matters. Every voice matters. Every life matters. The cheers drowned the night, but behind the celebration, questions lingered. Why had the powerful man abandoned his dreams so suddenly? Who had sent the DNA report? Did Ellen orchestrate it, or was she as surprised as the rest of the nation? And most haunting of all, would justice ever truly be served for what happened 15 years ago? The past had lifted her to power, but shadows still clung to the edges of her story. Some saw her as hope. Others saw her as mystery. As the lights of her inauguration faded, one truth echoed louder than the rest. The girl silenced in prison had risen to lead a nation. But in every whisper, every headline, every shadowed conversation, the same chilling question lingered. Had power brought justice, or simply buried the truth deeper?